Access your free language gifts of the month right now. Here's what you're getting this month. First, the Making a Phone Call cheat sheet. Want to be able to talk on the phone in your target language? Then this conversation cheat sheet will help you do just that. You'll learn all the basic phrases, questions, and answers you'll need when making a call. Second, want to know the learning hacks, motivational tips, and success strategies for learning a language in 2020? Then you'll want this exclusive 52-page ebook. Download it now for free before we take it down. Third, words and phrases for the dentist. Learn how to schedule a checkup, talk about a toothache, and much more with this 1-minute vocab lesson. Fourth, can you talk about your zodiac sign? Then this next 1-minute lesson is for you if you want to learn. You'll learn how to say the 12 signs in your target language. Fifth, the 32 words you'll need for language learning. Noun, verb, adjective, sentence, grammar. Can you say these in your target language? If not, you'll want this quick 1-minute lesson. Sixth, free audiobooks for our members only. Unlock our huge library of language learning audiobooks. Save them to your device and listen and learn. They're yours to keep forever. And finally, the deal of the month. If you want to finally master the language with lessons by real teachers and our complete language learning program, take the 12-month challenge and get 12 months of Premium or Premium Plus at up to 45% off. So, to get your gifts and language learning resources, click the link in the description below. Download them right now before they expire.
Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Kate. Today we're going to learn a very interesting Chinese story. 聪明的小乌鸦，聪明的小乌鸦。A clever crow, a clever crow. Let's just get started. 大森林里生活着许多小动物。大森林里生活着许多小动物。In the big forest, there were many small animals. 大森林 means big forest. 动物 means animals. 动物。其中一只小乌鸦非常聪明。大家都很喜欢它。其中有一只小乌鸦非常聪明，大家都很喜欢它。A little crow among them was very clever and everyone liked her. 小乌鸦 means little crow, 小乌鸦。聪明 means clever, 聪明。喜欢 means like, 喜欢。一天，小乌鸦回家的途中口渴得要命。一天，小乌鸦回家的途中口渴得要命。One day, the little crow was very thirsty on her way home. 口渴 in here means thirsty. 口渴。回家的途中 on her way home. 回家的途中。它飞到一只大水罐旁。它飞到一只大水罐旁。She flies beside a big pitcher. 大水罐 in here means big pitcher. 见罐里有水，很高兴。见罐里有水，很高兴。She found water in it and she was very happy. 高兴 in here means happy. 可是水不多，她喝不到。可是水不多，她喝不到。But there was so little water that she couldn't reach it. 她用尽全力想把罐推倒，倒出水来。她用尽全力想把罐推倒，倒出水来。She tried to push the pitcher down with all her strength. 用尽全力in here means all her strength. 推倒 means push down. 推倒。可是大水罐纹丝不动。可是大水罐纹丝不动。But the pitcher didn't move. 纹丝不动 didn't move. 怎么办呢？怎么办呢？ What should she do? 小乌鸦想了又想，围着水罐转了又转。小乌鸦想了又想，围着水罐转了又转。The little crow thought over and turned around the pitcher. 想了又想 thought over. 转了又转 turned round. 可是仍然想不出好办法。可是仍然想不出好办法。 but she still couldn't think of a good idea. 好办法 a good idea. 忽然，她发现地上有很多小石子。Suddenly, she found many pebbles on the ground. 小石子 pebbles 小石子。哎，有办法了。Oh, she had an idea. 有办法了。小乌鸦叼着小石子，一颗一颗地往水罐里丢。小乌鸦叼着小石子，一颗一颗地往水罐里丢。The little crow dropped many pebbles one by one into the pitcher. 一颗一颗的 one by one 一颗一颗的。随着石子的增多，罐里的水也逐渐长高了。With the pebbles increasing, the water in the pitcher rose gradually. 长高了 rose gradually. 最后水终于涨到罐口了。At last, the water rose to the brim. 罐口 brim 罐口。小乌鸦高兴地喝着水，笑了。The little crow drank water happily and smiled. 高兴 here means happily 高兴的 happily. 笑了 means smiled. Alright, so that is the story. Now let's try to tell the whole story again. 聪明的小乌鸦。大森林里生活着许多小动物。有一只小乌鸦非常聪明，大家都很喜欢它。一天，小乌鸦回家的途中口渴得要命。它飞到一只大水罐旁，见水罐里有水，很高兴。可是水不多，它喝不到。它用尽全力把罐推倒，想倒出水来，可大水罐却纹丝不动。怎么办呢？小乌鸦想了又想，围着水罐转了又转，可是仍然想不出好办法。忽然，它发现地上有很多小石子。哎，有办法了！小乌鸦叼着小石子，一颗一颗地往水罐里丢。随着石子的增多，罐里的水也逐渐长高了。最后，水终于涨到罐口了。小乌鸦高兴地喝着水，笑了。Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Kate. Today we're going to learn a very interesting Chinese story. 桃树的故事。A story about a peach tree. 春天到了，小熊、小鹿、小兔一起种了几棵小桃树。春天到了，小熊、小鹿、小兔一起种了几棵小桃树。When spring came, Little Bear, Little Stag, and Little Rabbit planted a few small peach trees together. 小熊 means little bear, 小鹿 little stag, 小兔 little rabbit, 桃树 peach tree, 桃树。为了让小桃树早点长大，吃上香甜可口的桃子。In order to let the small peach trees grow up earlier and eat delicious peaches. 他们决定轮流站岗，看护小桃树。They decided to look after the peach tree in turns. 轮流 means in turns. 看护 means look after. 小桃树长大了，开满了粉红色的桃花。The little peach trees grew up and pink flowers came out. 开满了 means came out. 开满了，长大了 grew up. 小熊站岗时，小兔顺手摘了几枝桃花。 小熊站岗时，小兔顺手摘了几枝桃花。When little bear guarded them, little rabbit picked up some flowers. So in here, 站岗 means guarded. 站岗，摘了 means picked up. 摘了。小熊装着没看见。小熊装着没看见。Little bear pretended not to see it. 装着 means pretended. 小兔站岗时，小鹿吃了很多叶子。小兔站岗时，小鹿吃了很多叶子。When little rabbit guarded them, little stag ate melon leaves. 叶子 in here means leaves. 叶子。小兔也装着没看见。小兔也装着没看见。And the little rabbit also pretended not to see it. 小鹿站岗时，小熊连摘带摇，把小树弄得遍体鳞伤。小鹿站岗时，小熊连摘带摇，把小树弄得遍体鳞伤。When little stag guarded them, little bear shook the little trees and hurt them seriously. So in here, 连摘带摇 means shook, 遍体鳞伤 hurt seriously, 遍体鳞伤。小鹿也装着没看见。小鹿也装着没看见。The little stag pretended not to see it. 就这样，他们都容忍了朋友的错误行为。就这样，他们都容忍了朋友的错误行为。So the good friends endured their wrongdoings. 错误行为in here means wrongdoings. 结果小桃树死了，他们的劳动也全白费了。结果小桃树死了，他们的劳动也全白费了。As a result, the little peach trees died, and their work was in vain. Alright, so it is the story. Now let's try to tell the whole story again. 桃树的故事。春天到了，小熊、小鹿、小兔一起种了几棵小桃树。为了让小桃树早点长大，吃上香甜可口的桃子，他们决定轮流站岗看护小桃树。小桃树长大了，开满了粉红色的桃花。小熊站岗时，小兔顺手摘了几枝桃花。小熊装着没看见。小兔站岗时，小鹿吃了很多叶子。小兔也装着没看见。小鹿站岗时，小熊连摘带摇，把小树弄得遍体鳞伤。小鹿也装着没看见。就这样，他们都容忍了朋友的错误行为，结果小桃树死了，他们的劳动也全白费了。
Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Kate. Today we're going to learn some Chinese buzzwords in 2019. Let's just get started. Alright, so the first word, 杠精. 杠精 means contrarian. 杠精, we usually use this word to describe people who always argue for the sake of arguing. So we always say, 别和他争论，他就是个杠精。别和他争论，他就是个杠精。It means don't argue with him, he's just a contrarian. Alright, so the second one, 硬核. 硬核, it means cruel and doughty. Cruel and doughty, 硬核。你就是个硬核女孩，你就是个硬核女孩。You're such a cruel and doughty girl. 你就是个硬核女孩。Next one, 我酸了。我酸了 means I am jealous. 这对情侣太甜蜜了，我酸了。这对情侣太甜蜜了，我酸了。The couple is very sweet. I am so jealous. Next one, 脱粉。脱粉 It means someone is not a Stars fan anymore. 脱粉 So we always say, 他不是我的偶像了，我已经脱粉了。他不是我的偶像了，我已经脱粉了。It means she's not my idol and I am not her fans anymore. Next one, 我太难了。 我太难了. It means it's so hard for me. Alright, so we always say 今天我已经工作了10个小时了，我太难了。今天我已经工作了10个小时了，我太难了。It means I have been working for 10 hours today. It's so hard for me. Next one, 佛系青年。佛系青年 It means Buddha-like youngster. 佛系青年 We usually use this word to describe people who become less ambitious and more casual toward life. 我住哪里都无所谓，我就是个佛系青年。我住哪里都无所谓，我就是个佛系青年。It doesn't matter where I live, I'm just a Buddha-like youngster. Alright, so the last one. 咱也不知道，咱也不敢问。咱也不知道，咱也不敢问。I have no idea and I dare not ask. 我不知道他在说什么，咱也不知道，咱也不敢问。I don't know what is he talking about, and I have no idea, and I dare not ask. Alright, so how many buzzwords have you learned today? Let's get some reviews. 杠精，杠精 contrarian, contrarian. 别和他争论，他就是个杠精。别和他争论，他就是个杠精。Don't argue with him, he's just a contrarian. 硬核，硬核 cruel and doughty. 你就是个硬核女孩，你就是个硬核女孩。You're such a cruel and doughty girl. 我酸了，我酸了。I'm jealous. 这对情侣太甜蜜了，我酸了。这对情侣太甜蜜了，我酸了。The couple is very sweet and I am so jealous. 脱粉，脱粉。Someone is not a star's fans anymore. 他不是我的偶像了，我已经脱粉了。他不是我的偶像了，我已经脱粉了。She's not my idol and I am not her fans anymore. 我太难了，我太难了。It's so hard for me. 今天我已经工作了10个小时了，我太难了。今天我已经工作了10个小时了，我太难了。I have been working for 10 hours today. It's so hard for me. 佛系青年，佛系青年 Buddha-like youngster. 我住哪里都无所谓，我就是个佛系青年。我住哪里都无所谓，我就是个佛系青年。It doesn't matter where I live, I'm just a Buddha-like youngster. 咱也不知道，咱也不敢问。咱也不知道，咱也不敢问。I have no idea and I dare not ask. 我不知道他在说什么，咱也不知道，咱也不敢问呢。我不知道他在说什么，咱也不知道，咱也不敢问呢。I don't know what is he talking about. I have no idea and I dare not ask.
Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Kate. Today I will show you top 10 Chinese snacks. Let's just get started.
Oh, alright, the first one. 大白兔奶糖，大白兔奶糖 White Rabbit Creamy Candy. Let's try it. Okay, so this one, 大白兔奶糖 Okay, I really like it. It's very, very sweet. 非常的甜。幸福的味道。Almost all Chinese children like 大白兔奶糖。If you don't believe, just try it. Second one, 美好时光海苔 Sweet Hour Seaweed. Now let me try. Alright, so it's just like this. Not bad. It's just normal seaweed. Next one, very special. 辣条 spicy gluten. 辣条. Now I will try this. It's my favorite. Dun dun. Alright, so it's very spicy, but I pretty like spicy food, so yes, 辣条 is my favorite. Now I will try. It's very special. I don't know whether you can buy 辣条 in your country, but it's very popular in China. Alright, next one, 小米锅巴. 小米锅巴 minute crisp. It's just like chips. Now let me try. Alright, so it's look like this. Very cute. Yes, just like chips. Sorry, I just can't not stop. It's really delicious. I pretty like it. Next one, 小小酥. 小小酥. So it's one kind of popping food. Alright, so yes, a cute little 小小酥. Pretty good. I bet you will like it. I like it. Next one, 溜溜梅. 溜溜梅. It is made of plum. It's very sour, but I like it. I like sour and spicy food, so yes, 溜溜梅 is one of my favorites. So, yes, this one, 溜溜梅. Okay, so look at it. Very sour and a little sweet. Alright, so this one, 旺旺仙贝, 旺旺仙贝. It is also one kind of popping food. And when I was very young, I pretty like this. Okay, so 旺旺仙贝. It's a little salty, but very delicious. Amazing food. Okay, one of my favorite snacks again. Next one, 旺仔小馒头 crunch rice balls. Very cute, this one. Little rice balls, crunch rice balls. It's very sweet, but actually I don't really like it. QQ 糖, QQ 糖, QQ gummy candies. Alright, so look. Very soft. That's great. Sweet and a little sour. I think girls will like it. Okay, the last one, 鱼豆腐. 鱼豆腐, fish with bean curd. You have to try this. It's really great. Alright, so this one is a little spicy. Yes, it's just like tofu. Very delicious.
大家好，我是李英如。Hi everyone, I'm Yinru Li. In this lesson, you will learn how to introduce yourself in Chinese.
This is Mark Lee, and he's on a plane to China. Zhang Zhu, a passenger sitting next to him, introduces himself by saying, "Hello, my name is Zhang Zhu. Pleased to meet you."
你好，我叫朱正，很高兴认识你。
Listen to the conversation and focus on Mark's response. Ready?
你好，我叫朱正，很高兴认识你。
你好，我叫马克里，很高兴认识你。
Once more with the English translation.
你好，我叫朱正，很高兴认识你。
Hello, my name is Zheng Chu. Pleased to meet you.
你好，我叫马克里，很高兴认识你。
Hello, my name is Mark Lee. Pleased to meet you.
Let's take a closer look at Mark's response.
Do you remember how Mark Lee introduces himself? Hello, my name is Mark Lee. Pleased to meet you.
"你好，我叫马克里，很高兴认识你。"
First is
你好，
meaning hello.
你好，你好。
This is a commonly used greeting, and it is often said when meeting people for the first time. This starts with the word
你
you.
你
Next is the word
好
good.
好
Together, it's
你好
this phrase literally means you good, but translates as hello.
你好
Pronunciation note: when there are two third tones in a row, the first one changes to the second tone. Listen to the pronunciation again.
你好 你好
This pronunciation change is not reflected in the pinyin, as you will still see two third tones. Before we look at how Mark introduces his name, let's look at the last part of Mark's response.
很高兴认识你
Nice to meet you, or pleased to meet you.
很高兴认识你
First is
很
very.
很
This is followed by
高兴
translating as pleased in this context.
高兴
Next is
认识
to know.
认识
Last is the word
你
you.
你
Altogether,
很高兴认识你
literally, very pleased to know you, but it translates as pleased to meet you.
很高兴认识你
When meeting someone for the first time, you'll often hear this phrase, but omitting it in favor of a simple
你好
is often enough. Do you remember how Mark Lee says, "My name is Mark Lee"?
我叫马克里，
First is
我
I.
我
Next is the word
叫
which translates as to be called.
叫
Together it's
我叫
literally I'm called, but it translates as my name is.
我叫
This phrase is used to introduce one's own name. Next is Mark Lee's name.
马克里
Note, there is often a short pause between the first and the last name. For example,
马克里
first is Mark's given name,
马克
Mark.
马克
Followed by his family name,
李
Lee.
李
Altogether,
我叫马克里
I am called Mark Lee.
我叫马克里
When giving foreign names in Chinese, the name order follows the order of the original language. For example, Mark Lee translates to,
马克里
as the name order in English is given name followed by family name. For Chinese names, the order is family name followed by given names. Zhang Ju uses this order when he says,
我叫朱正。
his family name
朱
is followed by his given name.
正
The pattern is
我叫 name
my name is name.
我叫 name
To use this pattern, simply replace the name placeholder with your name. Imagine you're Karen Lee. In Chinese,
凯伦里凯伦里凯伦里
say, my name is Karen Lee. Ready?
我叫凯伦里。
My name is Karen Lee.
我叫凯伦里。
When introducing yourself as a Chinese learner, you might want to use just your given name. 我叫凯伦 My name is Karen. 我叫凯伦 You can feel free to use the name you would like to be called.
Let's look at some examples. Listen and repeat, or speak along with the native speakers.
你好，我叫朱正，很高兴认识你。你好，我叫朱正，很高兴认识你。
你好，我叫马克里，很高兴认识你。你好，我叫马克里，很高兴认识你。
你好，我叫凯伦里，很高兴认识你。你好，我叫凯伦里，很高兴认识你。
你好，我叫李音如，很高兴认识你。你好，我叫李音如，很高兴认识你。
你好，我是李林，很高兴认识你。你好，我是李林，很高兴认识你。
Did you notice how the last speaker uses a different sentence pattern?
She says,
我是李林，
I'm Lin Lee.
我是李林，
First is
我
I.
我
Next is,
是
in this case, it's like the am in I am.
是
Together,
我是
I am.
我是
Last is the speaker's name.
李林
Note the name order, last name,
李
followed by given name.
林
Altogether,
我是李林
I'm Lin Li.
我是李林
This is also a common way to introduce yourself. The pattern is
我是 name
I am name.
我是 name
Do you remember my introduction at the start of the lesson? 我是李映如 I'm 映如李我是李映如 My introduction follows the pattern of 我是 name I am name 我是 name
You should be aware of this pattern, but for this lesson, we'll use the sentence pattern.
我叫 name
My name is name.
我叫 name
Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say hello? 你好你好 And how to say I? 我 Do you remember how to say Mark Lee in Chinese? 马克里马克里 Do you remember how Mark Lee says, My name is Mark Lee? 我叫马克里我叫马克里 Do you remember how to say, Pleased to meet you? 很高兴认识你很高兴认识你 Do you remember how Mark Lee says, Hello, my name is Mark Lee. Pleased to meet you.
你好，我叫马克里，很高兴认识你。
你好，我叫马克里，很高兴认识你。Do you remember how Zheng Zhu says, Hello, my name is Zheng Zhu. Pleased to meet you.
你好，我叫朱正，很高兴认识你。
你好，我叫朱正，很高兴认识你。
Let's practice. Imagine you're
凯伦里
respond to Zheng Zhu's self-introduction. Ready?
你好，我叫朱正，很高兴认识你。
你好，我叫凯伦里，很高兴认识你。
Listen again and repeat.
你好，我叫凯伦里， 很高兴认识你。你好，我叫凯伦里，很高兴认识你。
Let's try another. Imagine you're
李林，
ready?
你好，我叫朱正，很高兴认识你。
你好，我叫李林，很高兴认识你。
Listen again and repeat.
你好，我叫李林，很高兴认识你。你好，我叫李林，很高兴认识你。
Let's try one more. Imagine you're
李英如，
ready?
你好，我叫朱正，很高兴认识你。
你好，我叫李英如，很高兴认识你。
Listen again and repeat.
你好，我叫李英如，很高兴认识你。你好，我叫李英如，很高兴认识你。When speaking with your elders or people of higher social status, it's recommended to use 您, the honorific term for you, instead of 你. 您, you, in honorific speech. 您, 您. So to sound more respectful, Zheng Zhu, who is younger than Mark, could say, 您好，我叫朱正，很高兴认识您。大家好，我是李英如。Hi everyone, I'm Yinru Li. In this lesson, you will learn how to talk about your occupation in Chinese.
This is Mark Lee, and he's on a plane to China. He asks the passenger sitting next to him, Zheng Zhu, "Are you a student?"
你是学生吗？
Listen to the conversation and focus on Zheng's response. Ready?
你是学生吗？
我不是学生，我是投资商。
Once more with the English translation.
你是学生吗？
Are you a student?
我不是学生，我是投资商。
I'm not a student. I'm an investor.
Let's take a closer look at the conversation.
Do you remember how Mark asks, "Are you a student?"
你是学生吗？
First is
你
you,
你
next is
是
here, it's like the R in are you.
是
After this is
学生
student.
学生
Last is
吗
this is a question marking particle.
吗
This particle turns the sentence into a question. Altogether, it's
你是学生吗
literally, you are student, but it translates as, are you a student?
你是学生吗？
Remember this question. You'll hear it again later.
Now, let's take a closer look at the response.
Do you remember how Zheng says, I'm not a student, I'm an investor?
我不是学生，我是投资商。
First, Zheng says,
我不是学生，
I'm not a student.
我不是学生，
First is
我
I.
我
Next is
不是
here, am not, as in I am not.
不是
This starts with
不
not. It's used to form a negative.
不
Next is
是
here, am, as in I am not.
是
Together,
不是
here, am not.
不是
Pronunciation note. When
不
is followed by a fourth tone, its tone changes from the fourth tone to the second tone. Listen to the pronunciation again.
不是
Altogether,
我不是
I am not.
我不是
Next is
学生
student.
学生
Altogether,
我不是学生
I'm not a student.
我不是学生
Finally, Zheng says,
我是投资商
I'm an investor.
我是投资商
First is
我
I.
我
Next is
是
here, am, as in I am.
是
After this is
投资商
investor.
投资商投资商
Altogether, it's
我不是学生，我是投资商。
I'm not a student. I'm an investor.
我不是学生，我是投资商。
The pattern is
我不是，
occupation,
我是，
actual occupation. I'm not occupation. I'm actual occupation.
我不是，
Occupation,
我是，
actual occupation. Imagine you're Emma Liu, a student.
学生，
Zheng asks you if you're a teacher.
老师，老师，老师，
Say, I'm not a teacher. I'm a student. Ready?
我不是老师，我是学生。
I'm not a teacher. I'm a student.
我不是老师，我是学生。
Let's look at some more examples. Listen and repeat, or speak along with the native speakers.
我不是学生，我是投资商。我不是学生，我是投资商。
我不是老师，我是学生。我不是老师，我是学生。
我不是老师， 我是工程师。我不是老师，我是工程师。
我不是护士，我是医生。我不是护士，我是医生。
我不是学生，我是老师。我不是学生，我是老师。
不是，我是咖啡师。不是，我是咖啡师。
Did you notice how the last speaker starts by simply saying 不是？
不是，我是咖啡师。
No, I'm a barista.
不是，我是咖啡师。
When directly responding to someone's question, it's often possible to simply answer,
不是，
here, no.
不是，
You are negating the incorrect statement and can then state your actual occupation. This pattern is
不是，我是，
occupation. No, I'm occupation.
不是，我是，
Occupation. You should be aware of this pattern. But for this lesson, we'll use the pattern
我不是，
occupation,
我是，
actual occupation. I'm not occupation. I'm actual occupation.
我不是，
Occupation,
我是。
actual occupation. Let's review the key vocabulary.
老师，
Teacher,
老师，老师。工程师，
engineer,
工程师，工程师。护士，
nurse,
护士，护士。医生，
physician,
医生，医生。咖啡师，
barista,
咖啡师，咖啡师。
Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say investor? 投资商，投资商。And how to say I? 我，我。Do you remember how Zheng says, I'm an investor? 我是投资商，我是投资商。Do you remember how to say student? 学生，学生。Do you remember how Zheng says, I'm not a student? 我不是学生，我不是学生。And do you remember how Zheng says, I'm not a student, I'm an investor?
我不是学生，我是投资商。
我不是学生，我是投资商。Do you remember the question marking particle? 吗 And how to say you? 你 Do you remember how Mark Lee asks, Are you a student?
你是学生吗？
你是学生吗 Do you remember how to say teacher? 老师 And how to say engineer? 工程师
Let's practice. Imagine you're Mark Lee and you're an engineer. Respond to Zhang's question. Ready?
你是老师吗？
我不是老师，我是工程师。
Listen again and repeat.
我不是老师，我是工程师。我不是老师，我是工程师。
Let's try another. Imagine you're Yinru Lee and you're a teacher. Ready?
你是学生吗？
我不是学生，我是老师。
Listen again and repeat.
我不是学生，我是老师。我不是学生，我是老师。
Let's try one more. Now, imagine you're Emma Liu and you're a student. Ready?
你是投资商吗？
我不是投资商，我是学生。
Listen again and repeat.
我不是投资商，我是学生。我不是投资商，我是学生。
Now, let's take a look at some conversational phrases.
Listen to the dialogue.
你是做什么的？我是艺术家。
Listen to it again, now with the English translation.
你是做什么的？
What do you do?
我是艺术家。
I'm an artist. First of all, you need to learn how to say, What do you do? That's.
你是做什么的？
Listen to it again.
你是做什么的？你是做什么的？
This Chinese sentence literally translates into, You do what? But it means, What do you do in English? Now, how do you answer this question? This is the pattern you'll need.
我是
Your occupation. I'm an, your occupation. For example, I'm an artist.
我是艺术家。我是艺术家。
Here are a few more professions you can use with the same pattern. Police officer,
警察，警察，
teacher,
老师，老师，
doctor,
医生，医生，
engineer,
工程师，工程师。
Now, listen to some examples.
你是做什么的？我是老师。你是做什么的？我是医生。你是做什么的？我是工程师。
Okay, now it's your turn. Do you remember how to say, "What do you do?"
你是做什么的？
Imagine you're a doctor. Do you remember how to say, "Doctor"?
医生，医生，
Say, "I'm a doctor."
我是医生。
Now answer the question saying that you are a doctor.
你是做什么的？我是医生。
Now, imagine you're a teacher. Do you remember how to say teacher?
老师，老师，
Say, "I'm a teacher."
我是老师。
Now, answer the question saying that you are a teacher.
你是做什么的？我是老师。
Now, imagine you're an engineer. Do you remember how to say engineer?
工程师，工程师，
Say, "I'm an engineer."
我是工程师。
Now, answer the question saying that you are an engineer.
你是做什么的？我是工程师。
Well done! In this lesson, you learn new occupation-related vocabulary and phrases you can use in your everyday life. You are now able to talk about your job like a native speaker. Now, let's take a look at some conversational phrases.
Listen to the dialogue.
你是做什么的？我是艺术家。
Listen to it again, now with the English translation.
你是做什么的？
What do you do?
我是艺术家。
I'm an artist. First of all, you need to learn how to say, "What do you do?" That's.
你是做什么的？
Listen to it again.
你是做什么的？你是做什么的？
This Chinese sentence literally translates into, "You do what?" But it means, "What do you do?" in English. Now, how do you answer this question? This is the pattern you'll need.
我是
Your occupation. I'm an, your occupation. For example, I'm an artist.
我是艺术家。我是艺术家。
Here are a few more professions you can use with the same pattern. Police officer,
警察，警察，
teacher,
老师，老师，
doctor,
医生，医生，
engineer,
工程师，工程师。
Now, listen to some examples.
你是做什么的？我是老师。你是做什么的？我是医生。你是做什么的？我是工程师。
Okay, now it's your turn. Do you remember how to say, "What do you do?"
你是做什么的？
Imagine you're a doctor. Do you remember how to say, "Doctor"?
医生，医生。
Say, "I'm a doctor."
我是医生。
Now answer the question saying that you are a doctor.
你是做什么的？我是医生。
Now, imagine you're a teacher. Do you remember how to say teacher?
老师，老师。
Say, "I'm a teacher."
我是老师。
Now, answer the question saying that you are a teacher.
你是做什么的？我是老师。
Now, imagine you're an engineer. Do you remember how to say engineer?
工程师，工程师。
Say, "I'm an engineer."
我是工程师。
Now, answer the question saying that you are an engineer.
你是做什么的？我是工程师。
Well done! In this lesson, you learn new occupation-related vocabulary and phrases you can use in your everyday life. You are now able to talk about your job like a native speaker.
Do you know any Chinese words and phrases with no English equivalent? As your Chinese vocabulary expands and your understanding of the Chinese language deepens, you will come across some expressions in Chinese that don't translate to other languages. Words and phrases with no English equivalent are often associated with certain unique cultural backgrounds. In this lesson, you will learn the meaning and usage of these Chinese phrases. 加油，辛苦了，缘分，热闹，撒娇，见外。If you're trying to encourage someone and boost their confidence, this is the phrase to use. 加油，加油。It literally means to add oil or to add gas. It is often used to encourage someone to try hard and go for it. The most typical place to say 加油 is at sport events. Audience yells 加油加油 to fire up their teams and contestants. In Olympics, you'll hear 中国队加油. 中国队加油 meaning Team China go go go. 中国队加油. You can also say it to your friend who is going to have a big day to encourage them to try their best. Amy has a speech competition in her Chinese school this weekend. She's feeling nervous. 小吴 learns about it and tells Amy to 加油 and believe in herself. 怎么办？我好紧张。加油加油，相信自己。Another frequently used everyday phrase that doesn't have an exact English equivalent is 辛苦了，辛苦了。This phrase literally means to have worked hard. It is often used to acknowledge and appreciate someone for their hard work when the job is done. When you subordinate hands in a project, you can say 辛苦了 to them to show your appreciation for their hard work. When your friend drives you all the way to the airport, you can tell them 辛苦了 to thank them for their kindness. When your mom has spent hours making you a delicious meal and finally get to sit down and eat with you, it would be nice for her to hear 辛苦了 from you. Next is a noun called 缘分. 缘分. It is often translated as fate in dictionaries, but it's more than just fate. Originated from Buddhism, 缘分 refers to the wonderful, mysterious, and predetermined force that make two people cross ways in their lives. For example, out of so many resources on the internet, you are watching me teaching Chinese on ChineseClass101.com. It is kind of 缘分. For a couple to meet each other out of billions of men and women on earth, it is because of 缘分. Suppose you visit China when you were 10 years old with your parents, and 20 years later, you're sent to work and live in China. We can say you and China have 缘分. 你和中国很有缘分. 你和中国很有缘分. The next one is used to describe a scene or an atmosphere that is hustling and bustling but fun and lively. 热闹. 热闹. It literally means hot and noisy. 热闹. The immediate association of this word is at Chinese New Year, when the red lanterns are hung on the streets, when the loud drums and guns are played, and lion and dragon dances are seen everywhere, of course with people walking through with festive spirit. Generally, it is used to describe events with lots of people and lots of noises, such as a holiday parade or a big party. When you see such a scene, you can say, 这里好热闹. It's so 热闹 here. 这里好热闹. And Chinese people sure do love the atmosphere of 热闹. The next word is a certain behavior that is not quite seen in Western countries. 撒娇. 撒娇. It is a way of acting spoiled in a cute and childish way, often in order to disagree or to get one's own way. It often involves some kind of whining and pouting and swinging the other person's arm. If a girl likes to do it to her boyfriend and it works every time, you can say, 她很会撒娇. She's really good at 撒娇. 她很会撒娇. Xiao Wu really wanted to see a fashion show that her boyfriend Yang Hao wasn't interested in. So she was trying to use her 撒娇 skills to get him to go with her. But it wasn't really working. Let's see how the conversation went. 你陪我一起去吧，好不好？你撒娇也没用，我不去。The last untranslatable word is called 见外. 见外. It literally means to see outside, but the more accurate meaning is to see or treat someone as an outsider instead of one of their own. 见外 is the kind of behavior that is being too polite and too formal, therefore distancing the relationship. Chinese don't often say thank you to close family and friends for a small favor such as being handed a glass of water, because doing so or saying so would be considered 见外. Therefore, family and friends will tell you to let them know if you need anything, and don't be 见外 with them. 别跟我见外，别跟我见外. Time to recap. What would you say to your friend who's going to have a piano recital before she gets on the stage? 加油，加油. And what would you say to your colleagues before they go home at the end of a long day? 辛苦了，辛苦了. And what word would you use to describe the busy streets full of people waiting for the New Year's Eve countdown? 热闹，热闹. And when a little girl is trying to get her daddy to buy a toy with her pitiful, pouty face, it is called 撒娇，撒娇. And when you keep saying 谢谢 or 对不起 to your best friend, he or she probably would be offended because you're being too 见外，见外. Can you introduce yourself in Chinese? Building connections is important. This is particularly true in the Chinese society. There are certain phrases people use in self-introductions to connect with people they meet for the first time. These phrases include 你好，我叫，我是，我姓，我是人，请多指教，久仰. In this lesson, you will learn how to use these phrases to make your self-introductions sound more native and impressive. Phrase number 1. 你好，我叫. This is the standard way to greet someone you meet for the first time and introduce yourself. 你好，我叫 plus your name. Hello, I'm called, which is the literal translation. More naturally, hello, my name is. 你好，我叫. This phrase is often followed up with a handshake. If you're doing self-introduction to a group of people, you can replace 你好 with 大家好, meaning hello, everybody. 大家好. For example, 大家好，我叫李英如. Hi everybody, my name is 李英如. 大家好，我叫李英如. Or on informal occasions, you can use your first name only. 大家好，我叫殷如. Hi everybody, my name is 殷如. 大家好，我叫殷如. Another way to tell people who you are is to use this phrase, 我是, meaning I am. 我是. After 我是, you can add your name or title, such as what you do or your relationship with someone. For example, I can say, 我是李英如. I am 李英如. 我是李英如. Or I can say, 我是一名老师. I am a teacher. 我是一名老师. Or 我是你们的中文老师. I am your Chinese teacher. 我是你们的中文老师. Well, the next phrase is another way to introduce your name, but more specifically, your family name. 我姓. 我姓. 姓 means family name, and this is often used on formal and business occasions. For example, your family name is Wu. You can say, 我姓吴. 我姓吴. This also works for foreign names. Suppose your last name is Smith. In Chinese, you can say, 我姓史密斯. 我姓 史密斯. Next is a phrase for you to introduce your nationality or where you're from. 我是 plus a place plus 人. 我是人. We know 我是 means I am, 我是, and 人 means person, 人. For example, if you're from the United States, you can say 我是美国人. 美国 means the United States of America, and 美国人 is American. 我是美国人. 我是英国人. 英国 is UK, and 英国人 British. 我是英国人. Other than country names, you can also put your hometown or home state in this pattern. Say I'm from Sichuan province. 我是四川人. I am a Sichuan person or I'm from Sichuan. 我是四川人. If I'm from Beijing, Beijing, I can say 我是北京人. I'm a Beijing person or I'm from Beijing. 我是北京人. After introducing who you are, what you do, and more things about you, there are certain phrases you can use to end your self-introduction. One of the most commonly used phrases that also shows your humbleness is 请多指教. 请多指教. 请 means please. 请多 literally means a lot, but can be translated as do in this context. 多 and 指教 means to teach and guide or to give advice. 指教 together, 请多指教. 请多指教. The last phrase is used when you are introduced to someone who you've heard about. 久仰. 久仰 means I've heard about you for a long time. It's equivalent to it's an honor to meet you. 久仰. This is a complimentary phrase that is typically used on someone who is more accomplished and known for what they've done in a certain field. 久仰. And traditionally, it is said with this gesture, 久仰,久仰. Well, time to recap. Imagine you are Jack and you're from Canada. You're in a Chinese classroom. Let's try to make a very short self-introduction. First, say, "Hi everyone, my name is Jack." Can you try? 大家好，我叫 Jack. 大家好，我叫 Jack. Now tell them you are from Canada, which in Chinese is 加拿大. Say, I'm from Canada or I'm Canadian. 我是加拿大人. 我是加拿大人. Lastly, end your introduction by humbly saying, "Please give me advice and correct me." This set phrase is 请多指教,请多指教. Now let's put these three sentences together and make a complete self-introduction. Are you ready? 大家好，我叫 Jack. 我是加拿大人，请多指教。
Hi, 大家好，我是李英如。Hi everyone, Inruli here. Welcome to ChineseClass101.com. If you're not sure what HSK is, which level you're at, and how to prepare for the HSK test, you've come to the right place. After this video, you should have all the answers to these questions. HSK stands for 汉语水平考试, which means Mandarin Proficiency Test. This is a standardized test for non-native Chinese speakers to assess their language abilities in daily, academic, and professional lives. The test has 6 levels, level 1 being the most basic, and level 6 being the most advanced. there are fees to take the test. Level 1 costs 150 yuan, which is about 20 American dollars, and there's 100 yuan more for each level higher. A good thing to know is that you do not have to be physically in mainland China to take the test. You can either do it online or find a test center close to you. To register for the test, go to chinesetest.cn and find the section for HSK. Coming up, I will show you some questions from the sample HSK test so you will get a better idea what the tests are like. Level 1 requires you to have 150 Chinese words and very basic grammar patterns. In the test, there is a listening section and a reading section. The test is about 40 minutes long. You will be tested on the basic vocabulary and daily expressions. For example, you will be shown a few pictures in one of the reading section. One of the pictures will be a man in a doctor's uniform, and another picture will be a bullet train. In the third picture, there is a woman reading a book, and in the fourth picture, you will see a man closing his eyes while sitting in a chair. And below this picture, you will see sentences marked with pinyin like this. What you need to do is to know what these sentences are saying and find the pictures with the matching information. For this sentence, 她很喜欢这本书. She likes this book very much. 她很喜欢这本书. The matching picture would be the woman reading a book. And for 他在睡觉吗? Is he sleeping? 他在睡觉吗? The corresponding picture would be the guy closing his eyes while sitting in a chair. And for 我们明天坐火车去. We'll be taking a train there tomorrow. 我们明天坐火车去. The correct picture would be the picture with the bullet train. Pretty simple and straightforward. Level 2 requires you to have 300 Chinese words and related grammar patterns. There is also a listening section and a reading section. The duration is about 55 minutes. Let's see what a listening question from level 2 could be like. In the audio recordings, you will hear some sentences and dialogues. Each sentence and dialogue will be read twice. After that, you'll be answering a question about the sentence or dialogue you just heard. For example, you'll hear a dialogue. In the meantime, you'll see this on your answering sheet. And the dialogue goes, 小王，你女朋友呢？她没来，她下午要考试。小王的女朋友为什么没来？小王，你女朋友呢？她没来，她下午要考试。小王的女朋友为什么没来？ The first speaker says, 小王，你女朋友呢？小王, where's your girlfriend? And 小王 answers, 她没来，她下午要考试。She didn't come. She has to take a test in the afternoon. The question is asking, 小王的女朋友为什么没来? Why didn't 小王's girlfriend show up? And the three choices are A, 要上班, has to go to work. B, 要考试, has to take a test. C, 要开会, has to go to a meeting. The correct answer is B, 要考试。他下午要考试。Well, we can tell from the simple question that Level 2 requires a little more than just basic vocabulary and sentences. At this level, you will have the ability to conduct daily communications such as doing self-introductions, describing weather and moods, making comparisons, etc. To To get to level 3, students are expected to have 600 words and related grammars, patterns. And from level 3 up, there will be an additional writing section. Plus, there will be no pinyin. And level 3 lasts about 90 minutes. Let's take a look at an example from part of the reading section. You are given a few words and phrases in random order. You're supposed to put these words and phrases in the correct order to make a sentence that follows the grammar rules and makes sense. 妹妹 means younger sister. 妹妹. 最 equals to most. 最. 吃 means to eat. 吃. 我 could mean I or me or even my in some cases. 我 and 苹果 apple. 苹果. I love. I. So the correct sentence order should be 我妹妹最爱吃苹果。我妹妹最爱吃苹果。My younger sister loves to eat apples the most. To be able to pass this level, you should have the language abilities to get involved in more sophisticated conversations, such as asking for people's suggestions, using conjunction words to express your own opinions, using specific measure words, and being able to express events in the past, present, and future, and so on. When you're at level 4, you're expected to master 1,200 words with a listening section, a reading section, and a writing section. The test will last about 105 minutes. In the listening section, each sentence and dialogues will be only read one time, and the materials used in the reading section will be more in-depth. You will see what I mean by looking at this example from the reading section. The passage is about what a true friend is. Your understanding of this passage is tested by finding the correct answers to the 2 multiple choice questions. 1. 根据这段话，朋友可以帮你。According to this passage, what can a friend help you with? A. 获得爱情 Get into a romantic relationship. B. 照顾家人 Take care of your family. C. 解决难题 Find solutions to a difficult problem. D. 走出贫穷 Get rid of poverty. 2. 这段话主要介绍的是 What's the theme of this passage? A. 困难 Hardship. B. 亲情 Love between family. C. 爱情 Romantic love. D. 友情 Friendship. Once you're at this level, you will be able to read Chinese newspapers and magazines and carry out conversations on a wide variety of topics with Chinese native speakers. It is also worth mentioning that passing level 4 of HSK is one of the requirements for non-native Chinese speakers to go study in some Chinese universities. And now, what is level 5 like? One of the standards mentioned in the HSK outlines is that you will be able to make a public speech in Chinese. And of course, with the questions being more complicated, you need more time, about 125 minutes to finish the test. Let's get a taste from a listening question. Listen to the dialogue while reading the multiple choices. 你帮我看看这个视频怎么没有声音？我看看 是你下载的吗？是啊，有画面，但是没有声音。怪不得听不到声音，你的电脑调成静音了。根据对话可以知道什么？ You can tell the dialogue is getting longer and the speed is faster, close to the regular speed that Chinese native speakers will use in daily conversations. And to understand what they're saying, you need more extensive vocabulary words, such as, in our case, computer-related words. For example, 视频 meaning video, 视频下载 to download, 下载画面 image, 画面静音 mute, 静音 You will also need to be able to make conclusions and inferences from the dialogues. Was the guy's phone having problems? Did he download something without sound, or did he download a new app? Or did he forget to turn on the volume? Alright, we've finally come to the ultimate level 6. Level 6 is also made up of a listening section, reading section, and a writing section. And you will need to have 5,000 Chinese words in your word bank to consider taking this level. Well, before we take a look at an example, I want you to know that once you pass level 6, your Chinese is as good or better than average Chinese native speakers. Well, let's take a peek at the final part of this test, writing. You have 10 minutes to read a story about 600 words long. While reading the story, you are not allowed to take any notes. When the 10 minutes is up, this piece of paper of the story will be taken away from you, leaving you 35 minutes to paraphrase the story in about 400 words. Do you think you can do that? I hope after my explanations with sample questions, you will have a better idea which level you're at. If you're determined to take the test, here are some tips on how to prepare for the HSK tests. The very first thing to do, which I strongly recommend, is to go to ChineseTest.cn and study the outlines of the 6 levels very closely. In the outlines, you will find information about what language skills are required at each level, which vocabulary words and grammar points will be tested, with a complete mock test with answers. Once you have all the language skills required listed in the outlines, take the mock test. Treat them like real tests. Find a quiet place where you won't be interrupted and take the test within the time limit. The next thing to do, which is a great learning method, is to collect all the questions you got wrong. Put them in categories and find out where your weaknesses are at. Is it a certain sentence pattern or grammar point? Do you need to work on your reading speed? Or will you improve your listening scores by doing more listening drills? When you're done with one mock test, find more, search for more mock tests because there are plenty you can find on the internet or in a book. Take at least 2 tests a week until your test date. I guarantee you, if you can prepare yourself like this, you will find the real HSK test as easy as pie. Last but not least, get a good night's sleep before your big day. Good luck.
Most people don't like to hear this, but consistent hard work is one of the biggest factors in your language learning success. The course or method you choose makes a difference too, but at the end of the day, you ride or die by the work you put in. The quantity of time spent studying language doesn't necessarily determine the quality of your study. Spending 3 hours a day watching movies doesn't help you learn much if you're not actively engaging with the language. In this video, we'll talk about 3 ways to actively engage your mind while studying a new language. Number 1, think of your brain as a muscle. You're probably familiar with the phrase, feel the burn, or maybe no pain, no gain. If you've been to your local gym recently, there's a chance you might have heard one of these phrases or seen them plastered on a wall. There's an idea in the world of sports and workouts that the discomfort you feel when running, pumping iron, or doing some other physical activity is what brings results. During a healthy workout, the muscles of the body are affected at a microscopic level. The discomfort you feel is your muscles being pushed to their limit. It's the limit pushing that strengthens your muscles so that over time your performance increases. In the context of language learning, it's helpful to think of your brain as a muscle. Just as we need to push our physical limits when exercising, we also need to push our mental limits when learning a foreign language. Have you ever studied or practiced your target language in a way that left you tired or even exhausted? If so, you've experienced what it's like to push your brain out of its linguistic comfort zone. Number 2, practice active listening. One of the easiest ways to push your language skills is to practice active listening. Active listening is when you listen to someone speaking your target language and you do your best to understand what you hear. The best way to accomplish this is by using audio that you can't completely understand on the first listen. Preferably, you want to use audio that has subtitles or transcripts for you to double-check your understanding after you listen to it. You can use movies, YouTube clips, or even our language program, which has very useful transcripts for each lesson. During a practice session, you should listen to the audio several times. The first time around, it's okay if little to no words stick out to you. Simply make a mental note of any words or sounds you recognize. The second time you listen, you're likely to recognize a little more than you did the previous time. Expect similar results with your third or even fourth time listening. After you've hit the ceiling of words you can decipher, go ahead and look at the language subtitles or transcripts. Listen to the audio again, reading along with the text. Odds are that you will see words in the text you know but didn't hear correctly. You're also likely to encounter words that are new to you completely. As you play back the audio and read along, try to guess what these words mean from the context of the words around them. After you've read along a couple times, feel free to look up the remaining unfamiliar words in a dictionary or translator app. This active listening exercise routine is a great way to increase your listening and comprehension skills while picking up some new vocabulary along the way. It also allows you to learn new words in context, which itself is a powerful method to help you retain what you study. Number 3, practicing with native speakers. Practicing with native speakers is the epitome of pushing your language skills. Using what you know to communicate in real time is where the rubber really meets the road. Try to connect with a native speaker on a weekly basis. Regularity is what makes the difference when you're learning a foreign language. If you live in a large metropolitan area, then there's a significant chance that there are some local native speakers nearby. Try hitting up a local language exchange or meetup group to make the necessary connections. If you're unable to find a practice partner locally, then you can take your search online. There are a number of sites out there that help you find and connect with other language learners from around the world. There are tons of language learners around the world who have learned or are learning a second language. You're likely to find someone who knows your target language and is looking to improve their own language skills as well. Learning a new language isn't always easy, but it's the discomfort that comes with pushing your ability in the language that produces results in your studies. Don't be afraid to step outside of your comfort zone. The further away you get from your native language, the closer you'll be to attaining fluency. Also remember that language learning is in every way a lot like an adventure. There will be fun times and times when it feels like you're swimming up the proverbial stream. It's by keeping your head up long enough through these ups and downs that you will experience the priceless satisfaction that comes from learning a foreign language. Just keep moving forward. Let's be honest, it's difficult to learn a new language. If you're new to a language, it's going to take consistent and concentrated effort to start using the language fluently. However, this fact shouldn't discourage you. While learning a new language is hard, it's far from impossible. In this video, we'll outline 5 tips you can use to jumpstart your language learning. Follow these pointers to learn your target language in a way that is efficient and effective. Number 1. Limit your native language use when practicing. The idea here is that when you practice with native speakers, you do your best to refrain from using your native language. This is generally harder the less you know, but if you can manage to stick to this rule, you'll reap some huge rewards. If you commit to a no native language practice session, it's not going to be easy. Most likely, there will be some frustrating, if not painstakingly difficult moments where you either have trouble understanding the person you're talking to or you can't say what you want to say. It's precisely in these moments that your language learning muscles are built up to capacity. The process really isn't all that different from working out in the gym. Just replace the physical burn of lifting weights for the mental burn of thinking in a new language. In the end, if there's no pain, there's no gain. Obviously, this no native language rule doesn't have to be written in stone. There are times when it's more beneficial to break out of the target language box and have something explained to you in your native language. However, this should definitely be the exception rather than the standard. Number 2, have set times to practice speaking throughout the week. Now that we've discussed a good way to practice speaking, let's delve a bit into when to speak. One of the best commitments you can keep while learning a new language is to set aside specific times to practice speaking the language on a weekly basis. Ideally, these speaking sessions are on set days at specific times and form part of your weekly routine. If you don't make it a point to set aside specific practice times, you run the risk of your language practice falling through the cracks of your busy schedule. I recommend writing down your practice times and hanging it somewhere you can always see it. You could also input the times into your phone and set an alarm. The point is to remind yourself of your commitment every day so that it doesn't fall by the wayside. Number 3, get picky about vocabulary. Whether you practice with a podcast, a friend at a coffee shop, or a teacher, you're going to run into a flood of new and unfamiliar vocabulary. Despite your best efforts, it's unlikely that you'll be able to pin down every new word or phrase you hear and study it later. Thus, you should pick and choose which new words you focus on. The defining quality of each new word you learn should be its practicality. The more useful a word or phrase is to you in a conversation, the more important it is that you learn it. Don't feel like you have to cram the entirety of your target language into 1 week of study. Take it one step at a time. A few practical words here, some more there. Before you know it, you'll see your vocabulary improve. Number 4, write and practice short monologues. This tip can be a lot of fun. Begin by selecting a topic you enjoy discussing. Then, simply write out a short monologue or speech on the subject in your target language. The first thing you'll notice while doing this will likely be the holes in your grammar and vocabulary. But when you try to write out your thoughts in a foreign language, you might inevitably hit roadblocks. You might not be able to think of a word or know how to formulate a specific idea or opinion yet. This can be great because these holes are the exact areas where you should focus your studies. You can bring up these problem areas in your next lesson or browse through your favorite language course or textbook in order to find the answer. The constant process of finding these language holes and filling them is what keeps you moving along the path to fluency. Once you finish your short text, it's a great idea to practice reciting it or even memorizing it. The memorization will help you internalize the new grammar and vocabulary you've learned. Reciting it will get your tongue and mouth used to the sounds. Number 5, keep an up-to-date list on what you want to learn. Throughout your studies, you should always have a sort of language shopping list. As you practice and study, you will most likely come across things you'd like to be able to say, but don't know how to yet, especially if you follow our previous tip. Write this wish list down. It's one thing to learn the vocabulary you pick up via a course or podcast, both of which are great. It's a bit different when your vocabulary gets personal. Learn the words that matter to you, either because they're practical or because you simply find them interesting. The more relevant the vocabulary, the more likely you are to retain it. Some people might tell you it's impossible to learn a new language for whatever reason, but it's important to remember that the way you study and engage with a language greatly affects how quickly or effectively you learn it. Being able to speak freely with native speakers is an amazing ability in itself, but being able to speak freely to a whole new group of people opens you up to possible new relationships. Most people don't realize that spending the time to build relationships in a foreign language can actually help you improve your language skills dramatically. In this video, we look at how making relationships in a foreign language can help you learn the language faster. The benefits of having friends and partners who speak a foreign language. First, it's motivational. One of the greatest struggles for anyone learning a second language is motivation. 9 times out of 10, learners start out their language learning journey with loads of enthusiasm, only to see it gradually wane over time. Try as they may, it's difficult to maintain the spark they once shared with their new language. So why not borrow energy from a different part of your life? When you make relationships with people in your target language, all the excitement of a new relationship carries directly over into your learning. Suddenly, you have a very rewarding reason to improve your skills and keep practicing. As your partner or your friends get involved, you will also have the advantage of a constant source of support and encouragement. Second, it makes language learning practical. Studying vocabulary and grammar is a vital part of language learning, whether you use a podcast, textbook, app, or find yourself in a classroom. However, as great as studying is, a language really only starts to come alive once you start using it in everyday life. There's a huge difference between a scripted conversation in a lesson plan and a real-life conversation with a native speaker. Building relationships with native speakers will give you the chance to talk in your target language often. Furthermore, it will be in a way that feels natural. You'll learn the words in the context, which is hugely important. Third, it's fun. One of the greatest benefits is that it allows you to practice without having it feel like practice. Oftentimes, you'll find yourself so wrapped up in the conversation that you forget you're using a foreign language. This takes a lot of the pressure off and helps you focus on communication over trying to speak absolutely perfectly. You also get to learn about a whole new culture from your partner or friends, so you're not only learning language skills, but also about the cultures that surround your target language. The risks of having friends and partners who speak a foreign language. First, it's easy to miscommunicate. When it comes to relationships, humans can easily misunderstand each other. So it can be hard when building relationships in your target language when you or your partner's lack of ability in each other's respective native tongue can lead to miscommunications that would otherwise be avoidable. Depending on the language you're speaking, a simple mistranslation or mispronounced word can drastically change the meaning of a sentence. As long as you can afford each other some extra patience and the benefit of the doubt, then you should be able to overcome this pitfall. Second, your language skills could suffer if your relationships don't work out. If all your language practice is wrapped up in one person and your relationship with that person doesn't work out, then your language learning could take a big hit. So it's best not to put all your hopes for language growth on one area, relationship or otherwise. You don't want to risk losing motivation, so try to find it in many different areas. An idea for building relationships in a foreign language. Make games out of getting to know one another. Sometimes, opening up in any new friendship or partnership can be hard. Add in the added struggle of a new language, and it can feel impossible to share your true feelings with others. So instead of trying to take first interactions so seriously and talking about the usual things like the weather or work, try to ask new, interesting questions. Try to figure out what the other person's hobbies are without asking directly, or what kind of job they have. This will give you a chance to stretch your language skills in a new way, and you'll probably get some funny answers out of it too. Being comfortable being silly or making language mistakes is a great way to bond with someone, even if you've just met. Relationships in a foreign language have a lot more benefits to offer than drawbacks. Don't be scared to open up to people and make mistakes. Hey everyone, welcome to the Monthly Review, the monthly show on language learning. How to finally learn language in 2020, your New Year's resolution solution. Today you're going to learn 1. 3 reasons most goals fail, 2. The 3 rules for successful goal setting, and 3. We're going to set you up with your first language goal for 2020. So, if you've failed with your goals or New Year's resolutions before, then this lesson is for you. You'll be able to finally learn your target language, make measurable progress, and reach every goal you set. But first, listen up. Here are this month's new lessons and resources. First, the Making a Phone Call cheat sheet. Want to be able to talk on the phone in your target language? Then this conversation cheat sheet will help you do just that. You'll learn all the basic phrases, questions, and answers you'll need when making a phone call. Second, want to know the learning hacks, motivational tips, and success strategies for learning a language in 2020? Then you'll want this exclusive 52-page ebook. Download it now for free before we take it down. Third, words and phrases for the dentist. Learn how to schedule a checkup, talk about a toothache, and much more with this 1-minute vocab lesson. Fourth, can you talk about your zodiac sign? If not, then this next 1-minute lesson is for you. You'll learn how to say the 12 signs in your target language. Fifth, the 32 words you need for language learning. Noun, verb, adjective, sentence, grammar. Can you say these in your target language? If not, you'll want this quick 1-minute lesson. To get your free resources, click the link in the description below right now. They're yours to keep forever. Okay, let's jump into today's topic. How to finally learn language in 2020, your New Year's resolution solution. So, January is over, but let me ask you a question. Have you set a resolution for this year? If you haven't, it's understandable. Most people end up failing with their resolutions. You set one, you try to do it in January, and by February, there's no progress. Doing it is no longer fun, or you get sidelined by something else. So you quit and put it off until next year, or whenever the guilt of quitting your goals comes back to haunt you. So, what's the problem with setting resolutions? Why do we keep failing? First of all, regardless of what most people say about New Year's resolutions, setting goals, whether on January 1st or any other time of the year, is a good thing. You have to know where you're going and what you want to achieve. Otherwise, you'll be floating around aimlessly from one language app to another and have nothing to show for your time spent. But the problem lies with the goals that people set. For example, most people set goals like, I want to master Chinese, or I want to lose weight, or I want to be fluent in Japanese. And based on these kinds of goals, here are 3 reasons why 90% of New Year's resolutions fail. First, resolutions fail because they are not specific and not measurable. Take a goal like, I want to master Chinese this year. The problem is that's a very vague goal. What do you mean by master? Do you want to speak about the economy, or do you just want to have everyday conversations? And can you really measure how much progress you need to master the language? The second reason is they are unrealistic. You might think, but isn't it good to set huge goals and aim for the stars? It's not bad, but if you say, I want to be fluent by September, is that realistic for you? Are you ready to commit yourself to nothing but language learning, 6 to 8 hours a day non-stop? The answer is no for most people. The third one is there's no action plan. The problem is you'll still fail even with a specific and realistic goal if you don't know when and how you're going to do it. For example, when will you study? How long will you study every day? And how will you study? So now you know why most people fail with their New Year's resolutions. Then how do we set New Year's resolutions and actually succeed? Here are the 3 rules for successful goal setting. Remember, your goals must be 1. Specific and measurable, 2. Realistic, and 3. They must have an action plan. Yes, the complete opposite of everything you heard earlier. For example, let's say you're learning Italian this year. Instead of saying, my goal is to learn Italian this year, set a specific, measurable, realistic goal for the month, like speak 3 minutes of conversation by February 28th. And you can also set a yearly goal, like 30 minutes of conversation, and work towards that. The whole point is 3 minutes is measurable. You set a timer, time yourself, and know when you reach it. It's realistic. Instead of saying, I want to learn the whole language, you're just aiming for 3 minutes for the month and maybe 30 minutes for the year. So ask yourself, do I have time to learn enough of the language to speak for 3 minutes? That will vary from learner to learner. But 3 minutes sounds much more realistic than I want to master a language. Finally, you still need an action plan for your goal. And for that, you need to answer these questions. When will you study? How long will you study every day? Where do you plan to study? How will you study? What is your study schedule? This is the most important part because this tells you when and how to study. If you don't answer these questions, you'll have no idea what to do and you'll quit because you have no routine to stick to. So for example, when will you study? I'll study at 9 p.m. on weekdays. How long will you study every day? I'll study for 20 minutes. Where do you plan to study? I'll study at home, in the living room, on my computer. How will you study? I'll listen to 1 audio lesson a day for 5 days. What is your study schedule? From Monday to Friday with audio lessons. I'll listen to the lesson, then go through the lesson notes for 20 minutes each day. Here are a few more things you can do to improve your chances of success. Reward yourself after hitting a goal. Studies have shown that giving yourself a reward after reaching a goal is crucial to creating lasting habits and continuing to conquer more goals. Write down your small, measurable goal and put it somewhere you'll see it often. Now that you know why New Year's resolutions fail and you know what to do differently, it's time to set your goal. So thank you for watching this episode of Monthly Review. See you next time. Bye! Great work! Here's a reward. Speed up your language learning with our PDF lessons. Get all of our best PDF cheat sheets and ebooks for free. Just click the link in the description.